You're on the air.
Hey, Doug, this is Brian Rich.
Hey, Brian, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Well, wonderful, and thanks for calling in. And this is Brian Rich from Berger Singerman. He's a shareholder. His office is up in Tallahassee, Florida. He is a bankruptcy attorney, although he does many things. Tell us about how you got into the business and where you went to law school and all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I ended up in Florida when I attended law school at the University of Miami, and decided anywhere where I could wake up and see palm trees, it was a good place to stay. And after law school, I got started doing bankruptcy work and really enjoyed the practice, the nature of the bankruptcy practice and the speed at which it moved and the type of deals that we were involved in, and it's just taken off from there.
Well, you and I have worked together before, and it's been a privilege. One of the things that we did, we had a bankruptcy auction for 2 hotels in West Palm Beach, and I want to kind of talk about that because you always think that an auction's going to go exactly the way you planned, but in this particular instance, we sold before the auction. So give us a little bit about that, because that was a great success for you and for us and Berger Singerman.
Sure. That case was not unique, but it did have some unique factors. And the reason that it ended up in bankruptcy was not really because of financial distress, but more because of a partnership dispute amongst the owners of the hotel property. And ultimately, we were able to utilize the bankruptcy process to bring the partners to agreement and move forward with an auction or a proposed auction sale of the hotels. And as a result, in large part of your efforts, we were able to achieve buyers that allowed us to pay all creditors in full and even get some money back to equity. And that was pretty exciting.
Very exciting. And I'm trying to remember the exact thing. Were the 2 partners, were they allowed to bid?
They were allowed to bid, but ultimately they did not.
They did not. Okay, so that's interesting. But that's kind of a scenario when they're having problems where partners, whether there's 2 or there's 400 of them, can use the auction system to kind of mend the ways and to find out who really wants the property and everything. Tell us about what you do in Tallahassee. How long have you been there? What street are you on? All that kind of good stuff.
Sure. Moved to Tallahassee about 5 years ago, primarily for family reasons and looking to expand our firm's presence in the Panhandle region and the northern part of the state. We have 6 lawyers here in our Tallahassee office, and it's growing, and we're able to service clients really from Pensacola to Jacksonville and down to Gainesville. And my timing for me was good, bad for others, in that when I moved up here, it was when the real estate market really started to hit the downward spiral. And we have done a lot of work in representing real estate developers and builders and hotel owners as well, who have suffered with the real estate decline and the declining market, and many of them have been out-of-court restructurings, but we have gone into bankruptcy court, and we've been able to grow the practice substantially, helping people work through this financial crisis.
Well, that's excellent. I think I sent you an email that I was in Miami yesterday, and of course we broadcast from St. Augustine, Florida, so it's about 5 hours away. But I get down to Miami every 2 or 3 weeks, and I was able to be in your offices, your old offices, and sat down with Jordy Gusso, which of course is a friend of yours and highly respected in the bankruptcy arena. And he just says you're doing great up in Tallahassee.
Well, I appreciate that. Jordy is a wonderful colleague and a great friend. And Berger Singerman, we think we can provide great value to folks who have not only bankruptcy or workout issues, but commercial litigation and administrative law, environmental law. All of those issues can be serviced by our office up in Tallahassee.
Well, very, very good. I asked you to send in a little bio, and we put that on the website and also send it to you and use it as your bio on our YouTube and in our Raw Auction website. It says a little bit about you've done claims reconciliation process and claims ranging from $100 million to over $1.5 billion. I mean, that's an amazing number. What kind of case would that be where those numbers are so high?
Well, we, as a firm, Berger Singerman, we are typically on the debtor side of cases,
okay.
Debtor or creditors committee side of cases, in the mid to large size case for the Florida market. We do handle cases nationally, but we have had several cases that I've had the privilege of working on that had in excess of $1 billion in claims. One that comes to mind is the CHS Electronics case, which was a distributor based in South Florida with international operations, ended up in Chapter 11, and in working through the claims reconciliation process so that we could ultimately make a distribution to creditors, I and the folks at Berger Singerman work to understand what the claims that have been filed are, work through them, and object if appropriate, but deal with legitimate claims so that we can get that claims pool set and ultimately recover money and make a distribution.
Well, I also see something in your bio about Ponzi schemes, and that certainly is relevant in this time and age, unfortunately, but sometimes you try to work out for recovery for the victims. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. South Florida being the hotbed for fraud sometimes, we have had the opportunity to represent receivers and bankruptcy trustees in cases that started out as frauds, be it a real estate or a financial fraud. And our goal is to sort of peel away the onion skin, work with forensic accountants to determine what happened, where the money went, and then ultimately try and recover money. And I've got a really quick but wonderful story about a case. It's actually the longest case that I still have in my office. It dates back to 1997, and it was a stock Ponzi scheme and pump and dump scam. And we hung in there, and we ultimately were able to achieve a recovery from a criminal restitution case in excess of $6 million. And It was our persistence and diligence that was able to bring that recovery in. And ultimately, creditors got a significant distribution, albeit it took a while, but through our efforts and efforts of others, we were able to hang in there, find that recovery, locate it, and make a distribution.
Well, that's excellent. We've got about 20 seconds before a break. Brian, you are wonderful. How do people get a hold of you?
Best way to reach me is they can call me. My direct dial is 850-521-6725, or email at brich@bergersingerman.com.
Beautiful. Hey, Brian, thank you so much. Look forward to working with you, and when I get over to Tallahassee, I look forward to seeing you.
Same here. Thanks for the time.